evening, you wild roving band of questers. We're here to drop in for a portal report, and we need one stat because we got Madam Rufflebonnet back on the scene. Madam Rufflebonnet's been out of the loop. She's wanting to know what's the scoop. She's doing some intel, okay? We've been out here hanging loose, just surfing that Zavuya, but here she comes again to micromanage how we're making those moves, all right? So get ready for a little bit of that cock blocking action to come in here, all right? We are moving through pretty interesting astrology right now. Yesterday, we had the Venus conjunct North Node action going down. We also got tomorrow coming up Mercury conjunct Venus, all right, just as the sun enters Taurus. So look for communications starting to come in, and this communication is largely coming in on the ether, right? It's going to be really active. We also have Venus conjunct Chiron and Sun square Pluto coming in on the 21st. And let's not forget, right before that, on the 20th, we have this wonderful Uranus Jupiter. Oh, yes, there's some decisions to make here about what needs to be cut off, all right? What's just meaningless garbage. Taking up some space here, taking up some space in the storyline. This is really important. Some of it's just filler, man. It's just like random clip art, right? And it's time to like, yep, once again, there's the decision maker, time to let some stuff go, right? Time to cut the cord, right? And it's interesting because that's exactly what this download is about that I got coming in here. Jupiter, Uranus, conjunction, anything can happen. It can go really, really amazingly well, or it can be, on the pear-shaped side, all right? But usually conjunctions tend to have like a little bit more of a beneficial influence, but they can also have a magnetizing influence and an amplifying influence. So it all depends, on how that signal is being transmitted by the receiver. You know what I'm saying? But we do also have an interesting character in the mix, a rogue character of all rogue characters. We do have a Lilith trine coming in here too, all right? So we know rebellion is nigh, all right? People are acting out. People are more motivated for doing that dive into the underworld, especially with that Sun square Pluto. We know that there's certain devils on the scene, and sometimes these devils show up in unsuspecting guises. We got this horse death energy here, right? That makes me think of, somebody who just needs all the spoons. Maybe they treat someone in this way. They treat someone like they need all the spoons. Madam Rufflebonnet is just here to make everything right, here to make everything better. I just really have everybody's best interests at heart. With the death here, put a fork in it, it's done. All right. So, person this is for, you've been noticing that certain energies, we'll just call them, okay, connections, people, things you cut off, things that you laid certain boundaries down recently, you felt them kind of like tapping into your energy. And I say you felt them tapping into your energy because you hadn't had these energies really in your space, you hadn't. And then out of nowhere, you felt like sort of like that grabby kind of energy come in. You noticed all of a sudden they were popping up in your mind, here and there. Just random thoughts, just their energy signature. You started noticing they started to come up in your dream space, all right? And the information that was coming through in the dream space was very telling, all right? I got this, okay? You got a group of people that you were dealing with. You were probably dealing with a situation that it had its fair amount of cattiness around it, fair amount of gossip around it. And in this situation, I feel like you extricated yourself from a particular drama. You just didn't want to be part of that storyline. It wasn't for you, right? You were focused on other things. You may have been disappointed by it. You may have been hurt by it. You may have been angered by it in some cases, but you pulled yourself out of that storyline. Thing is that a lot of people said a lot of things, and they said a lot of things that you've disproven just simply by how you've been showing up, how you've been kind of like minding your own, doing your own thing, focused on your own path. And so now there's kind of like this sort of situation here where certain people sort of like predicted you having a fall, or in some way, coming up with egg on your face, or you proving the things that they were saying about you. And a lot of these things just pretty much, they're not the most polite or polite or supportive kind of, affirmations, shall we say, about who you are as a person. But we're not even going to go into all of that because I don't like to focus a lot on the drama. I kind of just want to like lay a basis of the situation, because I'm here to tell you how you can get beyond it. All right, what you can actually do, because this is a different kind of a, some would call it like a spiritual attack. All right, but I don't think that it's quite so conscious, okay? It's more that you got some people messing around with some stuff that actually is tampering with some pretty sacred stuff, and it's being used in an unconscious way. And this is something that does need addressing, all right? Because it can affect your physical health, all right? And what we're looking at here is you got one person here in this scenario really does identify with that quote unquote wicked witch, archetype. Like they love that. They love that side of the path, They work more the left hand path. They like to play with the more shadowy kind of energies. They also got a little bit of ego around it too, where they kind of feel like, they're the big bad witch on the scene. All right. And then you got like these 3 Coachella chicks, right? And I think they're truly magical beings, they're very into, what they're manifesting, what they're calling in, what they're alchemizing, but they're more like there for the adventure. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Jim Morrison. Jim Morrison got involved with a witch at one point, and he, even went through like sort of like, a sacred marriage like ritual with her, and she really took it seriously. But he was just like, it just like seemed like fun. It's got those kind of vibes, like, somebody who, they like to do spell work, they like all that stuff, they like kind of like the fantasy of it. They don't really look at like the reality of when you're working with energies like that, and how it can impact your life, and how it can just affect your well-being as well. Okay, this piece here coming in, the energetics of metaphysics, and they're just more in it for the good time, more in it for the fun. But it's a little bit sketchy here, because there's another person involved in this that they're on a yogic path. Okay, they're a yogi, but they're a yogi that's like, the yogis that get a little too full of themselves, where they kind of lost the way. I mean, everybody needs to lose their way at some point. That's kind of how you start to really find the way, is by losing the way, right? But this is a yogi who's a little bit caught up in the CDs, and has a tendency to work with some of these principles in a very distorted way. And I feel like these 5 are all kind of in their own little, I don't know what you could call it, own little circle, I would say, right? I'm reclaiming the word coven around here, right? Because coven is not just, associated with groups of witches who gather. A coven is a gathering of people. So I'm taking back that word here at Broad Coven, all right? So let's say it's a circle. Okay, they like to do magic with each other. They like to do ritual with each other. They like to work on those levels with each other. But it's got a little bit of kind of like, it's coming from a place of, you got to think, people who gossip and people who, like to cast certain narratives around people and stuff. They operate from a certain level of intention, especially when they're throwing magic around. And usually it's kind of throw the weight around energetically, throw the weight around on the ethers. And so this is when you can get boundary violation. And boundaries are something that's coming up quite frequently with the astrology we got going on right now. And here's the thing about boundaries. If you're inserting yourself energetically into somebody else's, personal space, their personal auric space, all right? I have to say, it's really violating, and it's not healthy behavior. And of course, it's the responsibility of each individual to hold their boundary line, certainly, but you should never have somebody sort of forcing their energy into your space. It's really creepy. And, it's a bit, assaulting too, if you really want to look at it on the true level of it being. And the reason why I wanted to bring this in is because I know that there's a yogi connected to the situation, because it's somebody who understands yogic principles and working on that level. And this is somebody who's progressed to a certain level on the path, and they've encountered siddhis. Siddhis are powers, things that you gain access to when, let's say, you do like a 40-day practice with a particular mantra. The bija seed sounds unlock storehouses of knowledge. All the knowledge of the Vedas is said to be in every single bija seed sound. So when you enter into a mantra practice like that, and you're devoted like that, you grok, sort of the medicine of the mantra. Usually after like a 40-day period, it's a little different with each practice, but that's kind of like a standard, a mala a day for 40 days. And then you do grok this like power, the power of the knowledge. But with the power of the knowledge can come, of course, when we get ego involved, distortions, where then it's the misuse of power. And that's when people can get caught up in the siddhis and they start chasing the power and they forget the path. So I feel like this is a situation like that. And I know that it's coming in this way, because I feel like there's energy harvesting going on here and tapping in. But it's more like this. There's a tapping into the energy field for energy harvesting, but also knowing that boundaries have already been put down in the situation, and these individuals know that they've already trespassed those boundaries because you already caught them up in your energy, and you already dismissed their energy and reinforced your energetic boundaries. And so they know automatically that they're violating boundaries by entering that space or trying to insert themselves in that space. And they may have been trying to find different ways in, and for a while they couldn't find a way in until the yogi came up on the scene. And this could be like a proverbial, Madame Rufflebonnet. You know what I'm saying? You usually think of yogis and you think, oh, peaceful, and you think just meditating in the mountains, oming it out. But there are people who do misuse yoga. There's people who misuse knowledge on all paths of spiritual study, okay? And we have to understand that when we're looking at yoga, we are looking at the energy body and the code for the energy body. And what I got here is that they are tapping into the prana vayu. They're draining the prana vayu in the body. And I'll explain what that is. And their pathway to accessing that is through the sacral chakra, Svadhisthana, right? Because that is what is very much connected with the Vayana Vayu. And that's what does all the circulating of the prana vayu within the body. Prana vayu is like your life force energy. It's located here in Anahata, in your heart chakra, okay? And It's a forward moving air. And so the air rises up. As it comes up, it meets in the third eye. So it's nourishing for the brain. It's nourishing for all of your senses. It's nourishing for all of your thoughts. It is responsible for your sense of inner vision, psychic vision, clarity. Okay. And it comes through and it moves throughout the body through Vayana Vayu, which works from a center moving outward, kind of radiating outward sort of pathway. So from the center line of the body or the hara line of the body, moving out towards the arms, you know, the fingertips, the legs, down out the toes. Those are like the meridian entry exit points. All right. I'm bringing this in because it applies. So some of you may have been trying to like clear out this energy. You may have been trying to clear out this energy with like, I've done smoke cleansing. I did a spiritual bath, you know. I've been doing my meditate. There's Madame Rufflebonnet. She pops right out first thing. Let me tell you. I've been doing everything I need to do. I've been following all my checks and balances. I've been grounding out before I go to bed. I've practically laid down boundary lines too. Okay, this is important too, because too many people rely on, you know, these sort of spiritual solutions when they haven't even taken practical steps. We'll get into those in a minute, okay? And this is really key. This is something that needs to be paid attention to here, because if you're not taking the practical steps to lay down your boundaries, start there first. That's most important. So block where you need to, you know, have that conversation where you say, I'm done with this right now. We're not letting any more of this energy in. Yeah. Do the things. Do the things in your day-to-day life you need to do to draw down your boundary lines. But you also have to, you know, be aware of what you're entering into energetic agreement with as well. So I want you to know what it feels like when your prana vayu is drained, when it's depleted, right? Your prana vayu, when it's depleted, it can block your clarity. It can block your psychic sight. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why this is being drained. Okay, because there's an understanding if the prana vayu is drained, then there won't be clarity in the mind. There won't be clear thinking. There won't be clear vision. There won't be intuition. And remember, you already caught up this energy in your space and drew your boundary lines. So it needed to find a way around that. The only way they could figure out a way around that was to put the block on your sensitivity, to put the block on your vision, right? Because that prana vayu, it moves up from the heart, moves upward here, all to the upper channels here, okay? So what they're really trying to do is to move you in a place where you can't focus. You have blocked vision, all right? You may feel anxiety. You may feel your energy is really low. You may be dealing with immunity challenges. You may find that you're feeling sick often. This is signs of your prana vayu being drained, okay? So they want to do this so they can come in and energy harvest without getting caught up, and also so they can tap into the energy, you know, do their little monitoring of what's going on over there, right? I have to say, with these cards that are coming out here, all right, because I got the pantless, I'm going to have to do a little very careful finger placement here. The pantless beekeeper is coming up here, okay? So somebody got their hands caught in the honey pot, all right? And we do have half-price hot wings here, all right? So this is some sides action coming around. This may be somebody, this Madame Rufflebonnet. I feel like Madame Rufflebonnet is kind of the one leading the charge here. Maybe Madame Rufflebonnet is the one who is the Wicked Witch. Dun, dun, dun. She comes off like she's all straight laced, but really behind the scenes, yeah, she's at it, okay? She might come off like a goody two-shoes. She might come off very unsuspecting. Isn't that the best Wicked Witch of all, right? Mm-hmm. It's always the ones, the brighter the light, the darker the shadow. I'm telling you, okay? She might be leading the charge, you know? I think, you know, she might get a little caught up here, though, at the crossroads, because this is big Legba vibes for me, the golden retriever here, you know? It's time to ante up. She did get a key to get access into a certain energetic pathway, but, you know, you got to be careful, you know, got kind of this Legba energy saying, don't bite the hand that feeds you, or you'll find who has the losing hand there, and it ain't going to be me, all right? I am picking up like this kind of lightning energy here, you know, coming down. There's a tapper coming in here around this, you know, there's a cost for tampering in people's energy. Yeah, they think they're master of the hunt, but it's all a silly game, right? It's all a silly game until the real muscle comes out in this situation. And then you're wondering, wait a minute. I thought I had this on lock. I thought I knew where we were going. And now I'm kind of realizing we're both kind of screwed here. And both looking, which way can I go? Which way can I go? Trying to find a way out of this cosmic mess because somebody had their fingers too much and too many pies with the orgy here, right? Oh, it was Papa Macho for a while, felt really big and bad and full of himself. And now this energy backlash is bringing them to their knees. I have to tell you. And that's why there's the tapping into the energy field. They're pretending like everything's fine. They already feel it coming in. It's making them a little nervous. They're saying, oh, it's probably nothing here. I mean, they are thinking back to when they were feeling pretty, you know, full of themselves. Old chaos mom here, throwing around that chaos magic. Maybe even a group of people who like to hook up on the, you know, sensual level, raise that sensual energy, that ojas, you know, to charge up those sigils. Okay, I can see that. But see, where they thought they were going to drain you, it's about to get tapped into them and block their flow. That's what happens when you move like the greased priest, okay? And the queen of holes, all right? I do feel like there's a mastermind here who's been, you know, given a particular squeaky wheel, the grease, you know what I'm saying? This grease priest has been given the queen of holes, you know, and then he's been, you know, greasing that squeaky wheel. I do feel that here. I mean, there is somebody here that's got a lot of BS, all right? And they profess like they are somehow, you know, somehow holy, somehow an authority, but there's a distortion of energy here, all right? There's been a lot of workings thrown around in this situation too. The thing is because of those workings now, these people are starting to feel the boomerang effect. And old Aunt Brenda here, you know, very notice the similarities in energies, okay? Old Aunt Brenda here is like, you know, oh, well, somebody got to pay. And it ain't gonna just be us, man. I do feel like maybe there is like a particular lover maybe that's shared in common in this situation. I could see this. Oh yeah, because here we got this effing guy back on the scene. Here we go, another lifetime, another round of this. All right. This is a tale as old as time, man. This is like a really, you know, entrenched karmic loop, this situation. I do feel like there's somebody on this scene who's seen it all before, man. We got Rhubarb Tony here, really looking at this situation, looking into the history of a situation, trying to understand what the heck is going on here, man. Because this isn't necessarily what I signed up for, but I don't know. Rhubarb Tony is keeping us cool, it looks like, in this situation. So we do got somebody, maybe even a meddling family member involved in this situation, or somebody who likes to play hall monitor, you know, that's kind of like ringing somebody's bell, calling somebody out. They want to hold this man accountable. I really feel this is kind of like a combined energy here, though, to me. I feel like that is why, you know, all of these people are coming together. they may now want to like target a particular person because they feel like they roped them into this mess. All right. This is kind of the situation that's going on here. This is like a messy dynamic, but I feel like the initial, end means of these workings, just because of the associated energy, is a lot to do with trying to weaken somebody in terms of their intuition, also their guidance from their own, Atman, their own higher consciousness, their own connection to spirit source. Also, we have to look at, when we're looking at Vayanu Vayu is all about coming into a place of alignment with your path. It's also a function of circulating all of the different values, all the different pathways. So think of it kind of like the energy being like many rivers that lead to one source. It's that same kind of vibe, okay? Because there's 5 different values. There's 5 different pathways of energy flow related to how it's assimilated and how it functions in the body, and it's all connected to the chakra systems. So when we're looking at Vayana Vayu, the way you spot the disruption in Vayana Vayu is through a feeling of separation or isolation. If you're having circulation problems or nerve problems, or if you're having neuropathy, going on in your arms, in your hands, in your feet, phantom limbs, that kind of thing. Really like rambling, all over the place thoughts, like the mind is always kind of going. And in its most extreme cases, it can lead to nervous breakdown. So, like I said, some people work with yogic philosophy in a destructive way. And I feel like this is a case. This is somebody who does have knowledge of that and has gotten caught up in the seed heats where they want to have power over another. Now, why? Why would they want to block somebody's intuitive sight? Why would they want to shut that down? Well, they want to shut it down because they need to get access to like your energy. They need to feel out what's going on with you. And they also need to prove their point, because there was a lot said about who you are, but how you're showing up is not matching the stories they told. And so now people are looking at them differently. And because of that, it's sort of affecting their situation. Now they're starting to experience the reversals. This is the energy coming back around. It's just like a mirror. The consciousness that's fixated on this lie of separation. I mean, yes, we all have individual physical bodies. We all have our individual energy field. We all have our individual egos, and we live our own little reality tunnels out, but it's still all one energy. And so when you're looking at things from a metaphysical perspective, if you're doing workings where you're trying to manipulate another person's energy or dip into their energy, you're actually really just causing future problems for yourself, because the energy will come back around. And by the time it gets back around to you, it's built up a lot of momentum, and it builds up slow over time. With a woman breastfeeding a VCR, right? You may forget about it by the time it comes back around to you. And these people will probably blame, they'll probably blame you, whoever this read is for, all right? They'll probably blame you. Oh, it's them. I know they're throwing magic around. I know they're doing something to me. But it's like, no, it's what you put in motion, right? So I want to show you, this is sort of like the background basis of it. Basically, these are people who predicted that you were going to take a fall. These are people who predicted that, you were not going to go anywhere, not going to do anything. These are people that, I don't know, maybe you've kind of been like the butt of their jokes, or in some way, shape, or form, they feel, a little boost of ego by putting you down. This has competitive vibes. I do have to say it's probably related to some feral nerd here, okay? This could be somebody that, they're maybe an intellect, they like to, have lots of, dalliances, shall we say. And maybe, this person has also wanted to have a dalliance with you, all right? You may feel that this is somebody who tries to tap in on that level, all right? But, we got space stuff here. Yeah, there's need to put this to an end and create space between this energy. And I'm going to tell you why, because you don't want your prana value depleted. That can be really detrimental to your health. All right. It can cause a lot of issues. It can cause a lot of physical problems. Obviously, you already heard the ways that it can affect you otherwise. Do you really want to be confused? Do you want to feel like your nerves are frayed? Do you want to deal with problems with your kidneys? Because when we're looking at Vayana Vayu, it's also connected with water. So all of your detoxification organs, it can make you really physically sick. And here's the thing, it's like people are always out there talking about different ways that you can kind of ward off, spiritual warfare. Okay, the reality is you do have to enter into contractual agreement with the energy. So that's why your boundary lines are so important. You can't negate your personal responsibility in that. All right, you can't. You have to take ownership of that. If you're continuing to interact with the energy and you're letting it continually come in, then you're forming an energetic agreement with it. It's true. And you do get to dictate what's allowed in your space. Now, can somebody find their way into your energetic space if, they want to, if they want to be manipulative? Sure. But that doesn't mean you're not going to notice they're in there. You know what I'm saying? And then you kind of have to, take out the meaningless garbage. That doesn't belong in my space. But you can do all the smoke cleansing you want. You know what I'm saying? You can take all the spiritual baths you want, and that's not going to help in this case, because this is when it's something that will directly impact the physical and how your spiritual energy runs as well, right? So it's actually a really very subversive and very evil. I mean, I have to say it's a very evil mode of coming at somebody for sure. So I think that in some way you're dealing with a situation where, quite frankly, there's people that are riled up because of some sexual dynamic where there have been multiple people who have been involved with the same person. And somebody really, enjoys this. They get a lot out of sort of the drama that gets stirred up around it. But it's kind of becoming to a place where this is a little unhealthy and needs to be tended to. So I wanted to share what you can do actually to ward this off. And no, it doesn't involve doing anything of, kind of like a supernatural variety. You don't need to do any kind of protective spell work or anything like that. This is just quite simply you taking charge of your own energy. All right. So let's say you are experiencing this and you're resonating with this, because I do feel it's coming in for a very specific sector of the collective, right? This is not going to resonate for everybody, but it's something that's important. And I think it has value just in general for understanding how to really own your energy and work with your energy in an empowering way and in a way that is very balanced and healthy. And where if you do find people misusing, their power or trying to insert themselves into your energy, you will know how to handle and manage that situation to create the appropriate boundaries so you don't enter into energetic agreement with that. Makes sense? Okay. These people like to tap in on more subtle levels. These people like to do things like remote viewing. These people like to do things like enter into the dream space. You know, they work a lot with like the astral body. They work a lot with astral projection. They work a lot with sigils. I got specifically, there's a reason why I put that magic with the K in those, you know, parentheses there. The reason why is because that's a specific type of magic. And I do feel like whoever is involved in this, they're on more of a like a thelemic path. You know, they really prescribe to the whole Crowley deal. And I'm not about Crowley, and I'm not even going to give it any time just because of who he was as an individual. I wouldn't want anybody with kind of his stance leading me into any kind of alchemy realms personally. I feel like it's a real distortion of the path, but that's just my take on it, man. Okay. And everybody has their own path, but I do feel there are people working with that kind of magic. Okay. And you know, they may work a lot with, you know, they may work a lot with the sexuality, because that's very indicative of that path, and that's probably why that's coming in. But I mean, time's up on this. You know, your energy for this group is like moths to a flame. Okay, and it's time to really consume this by giving you some ways to purify this energy from your space and actually rebuild what's been siphoned. Okay, build it back up, and build it back up quickly. Right, I wrote some things down so I wouldn't forget all I wanted to tell you about this. Right, so when we're looking at pranavayu, which is all about, you know, anahata, your heart center. And remember, you know, if your heart is being drained, if the heart chakra isn't functioning, you can't receive. You can't be open to receive anything. So this intention is really to like make you come into this place of lack and neediness and not having what you need. And kind of like I said, proving their point, proving what they said about you, because that's not how things are rolling out. And in fact, now they're kind of experiencing the things that they had kind of slapped on you. And it's because the energy is just whipping back around. That's all that's going on here. You don't really even need to get engaged with this at all. You know, you don't need to. I mean, personally, for me, I think it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. A dove just flew over the window. Personally, I feel like it's a waste of time to do this tit for tat, throwing stuff back. Because when you do that, and I've said this before, you do a return to sender, you have to understand return to sender. Hello, return to sender. You're doing a return to sender. It's right there in the name of the working. Return to sender. So yeah, first it'll go to them, and eventually it'll go back to you because you're sending it. And when you enter into that, you know, you're entering into this like tit for tat, you know, back and forth dynamic. You are co-signing on that energy that you say you want out of your space. And people don't take enough personal responsibility. And a lot of that just has to do with just not having the knowledge, not knowing. And I'm really glad that this download came in that respect with the yogic piece, because then I was like, ah, this has practical application, you know? So if you've tried everything, it's time to try this way. And I think you're going to feel a real immediate shift. I was really called to bring this in. I felt like it was really important to just like give these tools. Like, we don't talk about this a lot. You know, you see so much, you know, about, well, this person's throwing magic around and this person's energy harvesting, and we got monitoring spirits over here. But how often do we really hear anybody say, like, well, this is what you can really do about it, you know, to resolve the issue? So let's talk about it, okay? And since it's coming in this respect, let's put you in a place where you feel really empowered and in charge of your energy body and your prana. You know, your prana is life force energy. It's that first breath you take, you know, that allows you to experience this life. It's precious. You know, you can't have this depleted, all right? So if you wanted to get in touch with the flow of prana vayu, all right, let's just dip in for a minute here, right? A little educational moment, Ayurveda style, right? We are still in Panchakarma. We're in our 5th week here at Broad Coven. So just close your eyes for a moment and take a nice deep breath in. Take that breath in all the way down to the bottom of your belly. Let your belly rise, bring it up to your solar plexus. Let those ribs come out to the side just a little bit. Bring it up to the heart. Let the collarbone spread open and bring it up further, right to the 3rd eye. So it lands at the 3rd eye. That place right in the center of your forehead, just a little above your eyebrows, okay? And then exhale completely, right? Do that a few times and really feel, once it lands in the heart, how it flows up to the 3rd eye. And notice how your prana vayu is functioning in your body right now. Do you feel like you can't even register that? Are you having a hard time noticing that it's landing in the 3rd eye? Does it feel like it gets caught up somewhere? Where does it get caught up? Does it get caught up in the throat? Okay, or does it just stay in the chest? Does it stay in the heart center? This can give you a little bit of awareness around where there's blockages coming up in your energy body right now. So if you notice that it's kind of like getting caught up here at the throat, it doesn't go above that, then you know you got to do some clearing of Vishuddha, of the throat chakra. You know, and you can tune in to all different kinds of, you know, hertz frequencies and different meditations for working with clearing out the throat chakra. I even did one here under the medicine bags playlist here on Broad Coven. So check that out, okay? It will also make you feel really like on lock with your purpose and will help you bring your voice forward, your expression forward, allow you to speak your truths, okay? So if you notice blocks there, do check that out. I'll remember to put a link in the comments on this video, okay? The other thing you can do is actually work with prana, as in pranayama. And there's a very specific pranayama that you can do that's extremely beneficial, and that is nadi shodhana, or alternate nostril breathing. And I've demonstrated it here before, but I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do it right here in this video. So you can try it with me right now. It's very balancing for both hemispheres of the brain. It's very, you know, nourishing for the 3rd eye. And it really helps just bring that pranic nourishment up into the brain. And you need it here, man. I mean, that's where your crown is. You need this channel to be clear. You need it to receive your inspiration, to receive your activation, to receive your guidance, to have your vision. Okay, it's so essential. You don't just draw the energy from below, you also draw it down from above. And it meets all in the center of you. And that's why there's a lot of concern about that svadhisthana, you know, being tapped into. So again, like, I do feel like a lot of this is being tapped into sensually. There could be an old lover in the mix here. It's got those vibes. It could be a current lover in the mix. It doesn't have to be an old lover. It could be somebody that you have some kind of intimacy with, or maybe they're attracted to you and they're tapping it that way. Maybe you're letting them, you know, maybe you did let them at one point. Maybe you play on astral a lot. It's draining you. If you're experiencing this stuff, it's draining you. And if it hasn't yet, you need to be aware of it, okay? So nadi shodhana. You can do like a hang loose here, okay? And you can go ahead and you can take your pinky and close off your left nostril and breathe in through your right nostril. And then exhale through your right nostril. This is just how you start it. And then you breathe in again through the right. And you close off the right nostril and you breathe out through the left nostril. Breathe in through the left nostril. Close the left nostril off and breathe out through the right nostril. and you repeat it as many times as you need to. It will really carry the prana up here. That will help you get your prana restored. It will help you be able to have sort of like the cloudy thoughts, or the sort of brain sluggishness. I call it cotton brain, okay? Or if you've been feeling like you haven't had any inspiration, okay? Or if you felt confused, or you've had repetitive thoughts, or you've had trouble sleeping at night because you keep thinking about things, okay? That's how you can bring balance to that. Super, super essential. It will also help calm your anxiety, help bring you to a place of balance. It will also help really start to build your energy back up and build your immunity back up. If you've been like getting sick easily, okay, somebody's been too tapped in to your prana vayu. You can also do different yoga poses too, are very helpful, and they're the heart openers, the chest openers, right? Because remember, they're tapping in through that Vayana Vayu, and that is through the heart, but also the lungs. Okay, so it comes down a little lower down to this meeting place where you got, Manipura, you got your solar plexus chakra, and then right below that, where it all circulates. Right, Svanasthana, your sacral chakra. Okay, that's how you create new things, right? We had that parasitic fruit come in. You notice it was totally blocking up that creative center. If your sacral chakra is blocked, you are going to find lots of blockages in your life. You won't be able to manifest anything. Okay. It also has, those effects of just really affecting the nervous system. You see? They're tapping in like this. You may have a blockage in the throat, and that's why it's not getting up to the third eye, and the crown is being drained, okay? It's too much tapped in, too much cording going on here. That's actually really easily reversed, and not by doing a return to sender or doing any kind of workings like that are only going to keep you in contract with this. Do you want to be like, do you want to be a server? You got all these networks like, plugged into you there. That's not good. Okay, it's really not good, and it does need to be tended to. All right, so you want to make sure that you're working with, opening up the heart center, right? So it can also distribute, and circulate through the body. Because remember, if we can't let this Vayana Vayu, do its thing, that life-giving prana doesn't get to circulate and nourish all the other Vayus. This is how you get sick. This is how you physically get sick. It can cause serious illness. It can cause serious psychosis. It can cause serious issues like mysticism. It's like, oh yeah, it's all fun and games. No, this is serious stuff that you're working with. It's not to be played with. You have to be responsible with it, right? And if you're just in, somebody who's not even involved in any of that, and you feel this stuff going on, you've picked it up, like you need to know how to really, ward against that, so you don't have to deal with this. It's a really like malevolent energy. It's not cool, man. All right. So you can do some yoga. So work with that pranayama. Another thing you can do is any heart opening pose. So cobra pose, okay? Camel pose, bow pose, dancer pose, bridge pose, and any kind of chest opening poses where you also are raising the arms overhead. So warrior one, pose. You can also do chair pose where you're crouched down. Or I like it because it's also like it makes your body shaped like a lightning bolt, just clear out the tower. The tower doesn't have to fall. Electrify the tower, right? Light that tower up within you and become a tower of power. You know what I'm saying? What is hip? You're hip. You're going to be hip because you're hip to this knowledge right now. You could also do mountain pose, but real strong with the arms overhead specifically, right? That can help balance the energy and build the energy as well. Super, super important. If you want to get in touch with how Vayana Vayu feels, how it's like flow of energy works, just close your eyes for a minute. Again, I think this is important, getting in touch with how it feels in the body. Take a deep breath in to your center, and then notice how the energy spreads out towards the legs, okay? The tips of the toes, the tips of the fingers, down the arms, okay? It spreads outward from the center outward. Can you feel that? Can you connect with that? Take another deep breath in. Again, this one's a little bit more subtle. It's a little more challenging to get in touch with, okay? Another deep breath in right into your navel space, right into your center. Do you feel how it spreads out? Take it up a little further into the solar plexus. Take it up into the heart center. Can you feel it distributing? The reason why I was doing the pausing is that that's the type of breath work that can be very beneficial for building up the Vayana Vayu. Now, if you notice, like, I couldn't feel it radiating out from there at all, then you know that you already got a lot blocked in Svadhisthana and obviously your root chakra, okay? Because this Vayana Vayu is also responsible for helping us feel really grounded and rooted too, right? Super, super important. So how can you strengthen it? You know, first of all, working with like breath retention, breath work. So you could do like a Durga Pranayama, a 3-part yogic breath where you first take a deep breath in, bring it down to the lower belly, let the lower belly rise and then fall, okay? And then you take another deep breath in and you bring it up to the solar plexus, spread out the breath to the rib cage, out to the sides, and then let it out. And then you take another deep breath in all the way to the heart center, okay? And then you expand the chest a little bit, just feel the collarbone softening, and you exhale. And then for the final breath, it's like a 4-part breath, you could pause in between each of those points and just do a little breath retention. So breathing into the lower belly, pause for a moment and hold the breath, breathe it up to the solar plexus, pause and hold the breath there, and then breathe it up to the heart center, pause and hold the breath, and then exhale it out. So that's a good way to sort of like build, because its function is to circulate. So where you're having the blockages, if you can carry the prana, if you can carry the air up to the next chakra center and hold it there for a moment, it gives it a chance to circulate, okay? Circulate your prana and rebuild your energy in that chakra center. Another thing you can do is sun salutations. They're very strengthening, very balancing. They work you through a lot of those heart opening poses, okay? So it'll be good for the prana vayu as well. They're also more kind of like stimulating, so they get the circulation going. If you got your Vayana Vayu really drained, you will notice that you have a lot of circulation issues. You may have skin issues too. The detoxification pathways are blocked, right? So you might be dealing with bloating. You might have put on a lot of water weight. If you got edema, if you wake up in the morning and, you know, you just feel heavy, you know, your legs feel heavy. It feels like you're moving through quicksand, or what could be called, you know, kapha excess, kapha accumulation, kapha imbalance, all right? Dull, you know, sluggish, you know, bogged down, weight down, maybe gaining weight, okay? These people might have even wanted to come for, you know, your physical appearance. It's possible, okay? I wouldn't put it past these energies. These energies are not operating on the highest level of awareness, okay? These are people who just want kind of like that, like, ooh, look at me. I'm a big bad magician and I'm doing these dark workings and it's kind of energy. Okay, so I don't expect, that would be something that would be, beyond this energy. It really feels like just somebody feeling a little bit faced, all right? They feel a little bit faced because they said certain things about you and they're being proved wrong. It's got people kind of side-eyeing them, looking at them differently. So they feel like the only way that they can redeem themselves is if they kind of like make you go through a big reversal, because then they can kind of prove their point about you. But it's not going to happen because that's not what's earmarked for you. And try as they might, it's just not going to work out like that. Things are really balancing out right now. There's a lot balancing out. And people are moving like that. They're kind of having to own their own reflections right now. That the energy is being really amplified. We've had that energy coming in, sentience here, for a long time about being in the hall of funhouse mirrors. That's what's up. 55 on the clock. That's what time it is. I'm telling you, 56, because we need to come into alignment with the truth. And for some people, the truth is you're home free, man. You took the right steps. You made the right moves. You're moving towards your future. You stayed focused. And you're going to find that your path is really opening up now. You don't need this energy to like tap in and hold you back. And you don't need the disempowerment of blaming this energy for holding you back. It's up to you to take charge. You can take charge right now. Just this. Just what I shared with you. Getting up in the morning, doing the alternate nostril breathing, the Nadi Shodhana, doing some sun salutations, getting in some heart opening, yoga poses, working with those pranayamas, the breath work, and doing a little breath retention. Just that. Notice how it changes, how you feel. It's going to start balancing out your energy body. And from there, you're going to be a lot better about noticing when this energy is coming in, and therefore have an opportunity not to enter into energetic agreement with it. Because if you're out of your element, energy comes in. Do you recognize like when your energy is being drained, if your energy is being energy harvested, right? If your vitality is low, if you feel some energy come in, you may become dependent on that energy. Do you see how it happens? This is something to be really aware of. This is something that really wanted to come in though, so I definitely wanted to bring it in. Let me do a cut of the deck here. But I do feel Madame Rufflebonnet is like, kind of dealing with the backlash. She led everybody on a wild goose chase. Now they want some answers. 57 on the clock. People want some answers, right? And she's trying to bring those answers about because she's really being stubborn about sticking to her position that nope, I know who the collective is, man. I know who the collective is, right? And like I said, these are like party people. To them, it's just fun. To them, they're just playing with it. To them, they're just having a good time. They're not really taking it seriously. But I don't think they understand like the result is actually quite serious. And so when their energy comes back around, it's a lot to like own up to. Yeah, I mean, look at this, You can think that you got control here, that you can control the seed of somebody's new beginnings. You can feel like you got the upper hand. You can think you got it on lock. You can think you're playing people for a pawn, and then you find out, oh, I played myself. Because that stuff's flipping up and reversing like a game of Uno. And now I'm out. Okay, so just be aware. I wanted to bring this in because it was just coming in really strongly. And I hear a lot of people talking about this kind of stuff. And I did get this image. It was very specific. It was a very specific download. I said, I'm going to bring it in, right? It needs to come in. Soon as Madame Rufflebonnet started poking around, I knew there was something that was going to be coming through, right? And I hope that it helps you. And if you have any questions or anything you want to bring them in. Let's talk about it. We're still in PK. We're still in Panchakarma mode. So, this is another, interesting side to working with metaphysical principles, right? That you maybe haven't looked at before. hope it